Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a document with some truly mind-bending claims. It calls itself the Scientific Indictment. And look, it presents itself as nothing less than a unified theory of reality, a schematic for the entire universe, and maybe wildest of all, the final report on a silent, ancient war. So, let's see what it has to say.
Right at the beginning, the authors hit you with this. They're basically saying, hey, this isn't for entertainment, this isn't just speculation. They claim it's a key that's designed to permanently alter how you see reality. Now, that is a bold claim, so let's see how they even begin to try and back that up.
So, right out of the gate, the core idea they're setting up is this. Our reality has been deliberately manipulated, and this document, this is the proof. Their whole investigation unfolds in 4 parts, and it all starts by looking at maybe the most intimate and familiar subject of all, you.
Okay, part 1. This is where the scientific lens gets turned inward. The document argues that if you really want to understand the universe, you first have to understand the incredibly advanced piece of technology that's operating inside your own body, what they call our divine hardware.
So the first indictment goes after the textbook model of the human heart. The document says it's not just some simple pump that pushes blood around. No, it's a sophisticated vortex engine. Try to picture it, twisting and pulling blood into this perfect spiral, creating a powerful donut-shaped magnetic field that's apparently thousands of times stronger than the one generated by your brain.
And here, this is where it starts to get really interesting. The document claims that this powerful heart engine is actually a biological radio receiver, and it's designed to tune into one very specific frequency, 7.83 Hertz. So, what on earth is that frequency?
Well, it's the Schumann resonance. It's the measurable electromagnetic heartbeat of planet Earth itself. The claim here is pretty staggering, that our hearts are literally, physically designed to sync up with the planet. And the bigger meaning behind that? It suggests we're not separate from our environment at all. We're actually meant to be part of a planetary circuit, energetically plugged into the Earth.
So, if we're connected to this planetary energy, how is it distributed? Well, the document reframes the whole chakra system. It's not presented as a spiritual belief, but as a literal map of our body's electrical engineering. It describes them as 7 transducers that receive high-frequency energy from the universe, convert it, and then step it down into the biological data our bodies can actually use. For evidence of a receiver in the brain, the document points to the work of Dr. Gary Nolan at Stanford. He studied military personnel who'd had UAP encounters and found that they shared this really unique brain structure, a super-developed bundle of neural tissue that he himself, a respected immunologist, described as an antenna. This is presented as the hard, physical proof of the body's ability to receive these signals.
This idea of an energy blueprint is absolutely central to the next point. The argument goes that our primary reality isn't even physical matter to begin with. It brings up Dr. Peter Garyev's phantom DNA experiment. Get this, a laser beam kept tracing the shape of a DNA molecule even after the physical molecule was taken away, which suggests that some kind of energetic template, a blueprint, remains behind.
And that idea of an energy blueprint takes us right into part 2. Here, the document zooms way out, from the human body to the very nature of the universe itself, arguing that the cosmos isn't made of things, it's made of music.
The core idea here is a complete 180 from materialism. It suggests that frequency, vibration, comes first, and matter, that's just what happens when frequency slows down enough to take on a physical form. In this model, the universe is this grand symphony, and everything in it, you, me, the stars, we're all just notes in the song.
And for this, they offer visual proof. It's called Cymatics. So when you vibrate a plate of sand or water with a specific sound frequency, the particles instantly organize themselves into these incredibly complex, beautiful geometric patterns. The document argues this isn't just some cool party trick, it's a miniature model of creation itself. The document then calls 3 scientific witnesses to the stand to argue that this universal symphony is actually conscious. First, Dr. Masaru Emoto, who claimed he proved that human intention can literally change the physical structure of water. Then there's Dr. Carl Jung, who mapped our shared ancestral memory in what he called the collective unconscious. And finally, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, who came up with morphic resonance, a theory for how nature learns and remembers across space and time. Okay, so with this framework of a conscious, vibrational universe in place, the document pivots to history. And Part 3 presents a really radical reinterpretation of our past, arguing that the story we've been told about our own origins is just fundamentally wrong.
So the main idea here is to completely throw out that simple linear evolution chart we all saw in school. The document argues that the fossil record actually points to a world that was once much more like, well, something out of a fantasy novel. A world populated by all these different types of intelligent, human-like species living at the same time, from the so-called hobbits of Flores Island to the coneheads of Paracas. And then it argues that all those global myths about giants, they aren't myths at all. It presents them as a consistent historical record, a memory from cultures all around the world, all pointing back to a real age when a much larger, dominant hominid species, our own ancestors, ruled the Earth.
Now, what's really fascinating is how they explain the giants' magic. The theory is, it was just physics. A 12-foot-tall being would have a voice in the infrasound range. That sounds so low you feel it more than you hear it, kind of like the deep rumble of an earthquake. This kind of sound could be capable of physically vibrating stone and directly influencing human brainwaves, making people feel things like awe or terror.
And the level of detail gets even more specific and, honestly, a little weirder. The document points to these old 19th century reports of giant skeletons being dug up with double rows of teeth. It theorizes this wasn't some kind of deformity, but an advanced piece of biological hardware for creating complex sound harmonics, like a built-in vocal phaser for manipulating the vibrational reality around them.
And all of this brings us to the final act. Part 4 weaves together the divine hardware, the vibrational universe, and the Age of Giants into one single, overarching story. A silent, ongoing war for the control of human consciousness. The document calls it a Gnostic War, from the Greek word gnosis, which means knowledge. This is about a war over forbidden knowledge.
The document then reframes the story of Genesis completely. It uses this quote to argue that the fall of man wasn't about sin at all. It was about a lesser creator god, what the Gnostics called a demiurge, who started panicking when his genetic experiment, us, humanity, began to achieve self-awareness and reach for true immortality.
So let's just break down this wild timeline. According to the document, the Garden of Eden was a laboratory. The serpent wasn't a tempter, but a benevolent hacker who showed up offering an upgrade to self-awareness. So the original sin was actually us waking up. And the curse? That was a series of malicious genetic downgrades installed by our panicked creator to basically nerf us and limit our potential.
The document claims the evidence of this downgrade is written right into our biology. It presents what science for a long time called junk DNA as essentially a deactivated operating system from our human 1.0 ancestors. It also points to our shortened telomeres, the little caps on our chromosomes, as a programmed biological clock put there to enforce a limited lifespan. And in the end, it all comes down to this. The document lays out its case, from the engine in our hearts to the secret war in the garden, and it leaves the reader with a final, provocative choice. It frames all this information not as some story to just be consumed, but as a direct challenge to your own perception of reality. It asks, will you remain asleep, or will you choose to see?